All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of the Addictively Speaking podcast. I know I've fallen off with my recording schedule. Things have been just upside down lately. My work schedule is really um, making it quite difficult to create content at the moment and to be able to schedule guests. So I've been, trying to work on a way that I can get back into recording and giving you guys the recovery content and the addiction content and all that kind of stuff that I've been creating over this past year and a half. Um, Today, I'd just like to talk about the recovery journey, and how it is individual. The journey is such an individualized thing, and I think over the past year and a half, I've done you know tons of interviews. It feels like I've done so many, and I've talked to so many people, and it's been so amazing to hear their stories and their journeys that they've been on with recovery. So it's to me, I started this podcast and I talked in the beginning. I used it to talk about some of my experiences with addiction and recovery, and it's been awesome hearing other people's points of views and their roads to recovery because everybody's is there's so many things that are like similar, but there's also so many things that are so unique and individual in those journeys. And no two journeys are the same. They can have similarities and they can have things that are, kind of like the same in a way, but their journeys are all individual. It's all an individual journey, and my journey is not the same as other people's journeys. So my personal journey started 12 and a half years ago. Um, and the biggest thing in this journey was the beginning, was the start of it all. Um, it was the moment where I had to admit that I had a problem. And it's not just admitting it, it's also accepting it, you know? Accepting it in yourself that something's not right, you know? No matter what that is, like, whether it's drinking or drugs or that is damaging your life in a way that is unhealthy. Um, and I didn't really see that prior to that moment where I did make that admission to myself. I looked a lot to other people to kind of, my friends, especially like my peer group, to kind of be like, well, they would tell me if I said that there was a problem. They would say it, but it wasn't necessarily the case. I had to accept it in myself for anything to happen, for anything to move forward. I had to own that shit. And I had to own all the shit that I did. All the fighting, all the fines, all the DUIs, all the bullshit, all the pain and hurt that I've caused to my family and my friends. And yeah, I had to live with all that. I had to, kind of like embrace all that and be like, you know what? You fucked up. You fucked up a lot, you know? But here's your chance. Here's your chance to change all that. Here's your chance to make a life because right now you're not living. You're just existing, I just felt like I existed. I didn't feel like I had a purpose. I didn't feel like I had a direction. Uh, I didn't have any goals. I didn't have anything. I didn't think I deserved anything as well. Like I didn't think I deserved shit. Um, and I don't know why. And I imagine that's due to the trauma that I experienced, that I internalized and put a lot of it on myself. Um, so yeah, so that moment that changes everything. And I ask everybody in the thing, when did you realize when was that moment? And a lot of people have different answers, and a lot of people, went about it a different way. Some people, just quit whatever they were doing and found a fellowship, started a program, found a recovery coach, found God, found something else, um, to inspire their life and to start to rebuild. Um, for me, it was the fact that I thought, like, I'm never gonna have anything that I ever want if I continue down this road. This is gonna be a very lonely place. This is gonna be a very empty place, you know? It's just gonna be you at some point, um, because you'll never be able to keep anybody around you, other than, like, maybe my best friends who would just kind of watch me and, watch the downfall. But, you know, I had to think of something else. I had to think, like, is this what my life is? Is this all it's worth? So I took a lot of that into consideration, and I started to, I quit drinking because I thought if I ever wanted to be a father, a husband, um, if I ever wanted to have any of that in my life, I couldn't drink. I couldn't do it. Those two things couldn't coexist. They could not coexist together. One of them would destroy the other. The drinking would destroy the family. It would destroy me. So yeah, so that was my moment where I thought, like, you know, if I make this change, what other things are possible? And once I did that, once I got sober and the months kind of like ticked by and I had all the support and love from my friends and my family, um, man, I just started to get like so excited about being alive and like having these opportunities and being able to like, forge a future, which I didn't have any of those thoughts prior to that moment, you know? I didn't care about a future. I didn't care about any of that shit. I just cared about self-destructing, really. Um, and a lot of people on these recovery journeys, like they have that moment and then they start, making these great changes and they start doing these good things with their life because they've cleared their mind, they've cleared their head, they cleared their body of the bullshit, of the stuff that was destroying them. They've got it out of their system and now they can move forward. And I've been so lucky to have so many people on this podcast, that have written books, that have shared their stories, they've spoken their truth, they've shared their hope. Um, and I think that's just such an amazing thing. And what I've noticed along across the board is that all of them, no matter what their journey, whether it's a fellowship or they got clean and they just stopped, on their own free will, if they use a rehab or whatever their journey entailed, they always feel like they have a sense of purpose to give back, to help others, to go above and beyond, to share their experiences so that somebody else doesn't have to um, go down that road. And I think that's such a unique thing that we all kind of bond on in recovery, is that we all have these experiences and they're all different, but we all genuinely want to help other people that were in our position, or that are, you know, contemplating sobriety, or that are contemplating what it would be like to be sober, to be clean, to be working a program, or to whatever the case may be. Um, we're trying to give them inspiration and show them that anything is possible. I mean, you can write a book, you can start a podcast, you can become a coach and give back in that capacity. Um, you can do all these things if you get clean, and if you really put the work in and do the things that you need to do to build and grow your life. Um, you know, and that's not to say that the journey isn't without struggle. It is. It has struggle. It has obstacles. It has all that. But hopefully you're lucky enough to build yourself a good support system, and you build yourself a whole bunch of better coping skills, because the ones that you had before were using, and they didn't help. They definitely do not help. Um, so moving forward in your journey and being able to find new ways to cope with life, because you kind of like, it's like rebuilding everything all over again, because you kind of start from scratch. Like I started and I didn't have shit. I mean, I had a job, but I didn't really have goals. So I didn't have any purpose to like want to do more, want to do better, or find out what my career was going to be, and I was what, 30, 31 when I did that. And it's, it's late to kind of start figuring shit out in your life. Um, but I got lucky, and I'm a hard worker. Luckily that my dad, um, God rest his soul, instilled those type of values in me, that hard work and dedication is important and it's valued. So I worked really hard and I started to build a career, and I ended up working my way towards management, you know, and doing all that kind of stuff was crazy because I never thought like I'd have a career. I never thought I'd have I'd have a path in life as far as what I wanted to do and what I wanted to achieve. And I just never thought that like I could set these goals and accomplish them, you know, because I was drinking so heavily that there was just no way that I could function at a level that would, I couldn't, I wasn't reliable. I wasn't, uh, I didn't show up to work sober sometimes. Like it was just things that like, obviously I couldn't progress in a life path if I couldn't function in life, in a career path. Like I couldn't do it. I just couldn't manage to do that shit. So, I got sober and I started to be able to really start like ticking some boxes and like doing some things that I really wanted to do, Like I just started like setting goals and like, like stupid stuff, even silly things that were just like personal things that I felt like, oh, it'd be really cool to do. Run a 5K. Then it was like, oh, it'd be really cool to do. Maybe run a 10K. Or a half marathon, or just like set these little challenges and just see if you can, you know accomplish them, because I never had that before. During the addiction part of my life, I didn't have that. I didn't set out to go and do anything other than get super fucked up. um I didn't have any challenges. I didn't have any goals. I didn't have anything, you know I couldn't have relationships. I couldn't have any of that shit. So I got lucky and I started to set out, to forge a path and, to find somebody to love and to respect and to build a life with and build a family with. And I found that and I built a family, and, I moved countries. Uh, um, I started to do all these things in life that I never, ever thought would be possible. Um, so, luckily, I've got to do all those things and I've got to build something that I never thought was actually possible. And I did that with my recovery. That was my journey. And now I'm doing this podcast so that other people can see that it's possible, that it inspires hope, it inspires um all kind of things, because I think that people need the sometimes they just need that push, or they need to see somebody else do it and succeed, and just kind of like feed off that energy to be able to do it themselves. Recovery is possible. I've interviewed countless people who have done really amazing stuff with their recovery, and they've all come on this platform and they've all shared their stories. And I just want to continue giving back. And I know that the people that I've interviewed also want to give back, and they want to share their journeys and their stories, because their stories are important. And I think all the stories about addiction and recovery are important. Um, even the ones where people relapse and fall and stumble, and it takes a couple times. You know, you don't always get it right the first time. It's not always that easy. You know, You might think you're stronger than you are. You might underestimate something. There's so many things that life can throw at you that will test your will, and it'll test your dedication to what you're doing. And sometimes we have these moments where we stumble and fall. The important thing is to pick yourself back up, not let it get in your head. People make mistakes. You can go back to sobriety. You can, I hear a lot of stuff too, like on the internet, and like people judging other people's recoveries and their journeys and stuff like that. And I think we need to be less judgmental about that, especially people in the recovery community. Like, you know, people recover different ways, and your way is your way. Doesn't mean it's the right way, doesn't mean it's the wrong way. It's just your way, you know? So if somebody gets sober and they have to use methadone, or they have to use some type of, you know, drug to subdue the urges, or whatever the case may be, that's their journey. At least they're trying. Um, so I don't think we need to be throwing a lot of stones at those people, because their recovery is their recovery at the end of the day. They're doing what they need to do to get sober, and that's the road they're taking at the moment, and they'll figure out their path along the way. Um, I imagine when I got sober, there were probably tons of people who didn't think I could stay sober, that didn't think I could stop drinking. I mean, for a long time, I didn't think I could stop drinking. I didn't think I wanted to stop drinking. I didn't think I gave a shit about anything. And I come to realize later that I gave a shit about a lot. I was just really struggling emotionally and mentally with some things that have happened in my life. And, I had to own all that shit, and start to build, start to grow, start to be self-aware, start to be more introspective, and look at my life in a different way. Look at me in a different way. Look at me as a person in a different way. Maybe analyze some of the things that I'm doing, and why am I doing them, and what makes me do these things. You know, Sometimes it's not the greatest strategy, because I sometimes get in my own head about certain things that I do, or the reasons that I am the way I am. But at least I'm aware now. At least I'm aware of what's happening and what's going on, and I'm able to function and be a father. I'm so grateful and lucky that I get to enjoy the life of these two little boys that I have, because it's made it all worthwhile. It's made the journey that much sweeter. Um, so I think, you know, in doing this podcast, if you listen, and you have been listening, and you are a subscriber, you're watching the YouTube, or you're listening on Spotify, or you're listening on any streaming service, um, just know that recovery is possible, that there are people out there who were in your situation, who have gotten out, who have made a better life, but their journey is their journey. Don't compare your journey to their journey. Forge your own path, forge your own journey. You know, Recovery is not one size fits all. Um, it's a mishmash of a whole bunch of things. And on this podcast, I've tried to give everybody the opportunity to, you know, pick some tools up for your toolbox, and, use it when you need it in your recovery to help you get through, um, so that you are well equipped, that you have all the tools that you need. You know, I ask everybody at the end of my podcast, what are three things that they need in their recovery? Um, so if you go back and you listen to some of the previous episodes, you can pick some of these things up. You can use some of these things in your own recovery, and, see if it works, see if it helps. There's nothing wrong with trying new things, or trying to um, expand yourself in your recovery, to doing different stuff. But if you have something that is working, and that is really, good, that's really doing really well for you, keep doing it. Keep using it. If it's a 12 step, keep going. Keep sharing, mentoring, coaching, whatever the case may be. Just get out there and show people that people in recovery, can be great. We can do great things. We can achieve lives that are meaningful and productive and, worthwhile, worth living. Um, this is just going to be a quick one, guys. I'm just going to just do this. Just a little short one just to get back into it. I haven't done one of these solo podcasts in a while. So I'm just going to wrap it up quick. I'd like to give a shout out to some of the people that have helped me along the way and some of the people, um, that are important to me. So at the end of this, I'm just going to, just shout some people out. So I'd like to say a big shout out to Christian's Crew, um, which is run by Judy Alessi and Gabriel Alessi. It is a nonprofit organization, and it is to raise awareness for fentanyl poisoning and fentanyl awareness. So they're located in New Jersey. So their contact information will be in the description. So check that out. Check them out. They're a great organization. They work with sober living, and they're just helping raise awareness. And I think they're a great organization. And I'd also like to thank um, ABJ podcast, Anthony Blackwell Jr., my guy. He's been helping me do this podcast thing since the beginning. So I truly want to just give him a shout out because I truly appreciate him. My brother, I'd like to shout out my bro because he's always there for me and he's listening and he's always giving me pointers and critique. And I truly appreciate all that he has done for me because he stood by my side. He didn't like me at some points in this journey in my life, because of the stuff I was doing, but um, he stood by me, and he's amazing, and I love him. My wife and my kids, absolute blessing in my life. So thankful to have them. My boy Jamal, um, always there for me when I need an ear to bend and somebody to talk to. Um, my best friend Sam, his family, always there for me, always got my back. Um, just some people that I truly love. They've become part of my family. Uh, my boy Miller, uh, always there when I need to talk. So these are some people. I'm lucky that I have such a great support system in my life. So with that being said, if you are following on YouTube, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share it. Uh, the same with any of the social medias, TikTok, whatever. Get out there, share the content, like the content, promote the content. It's the way that we're going to grow and we're going to reach more people and we're going to help more people in recovery. So the more you guys share, the more you guys help, the more exposure we can get, the more guests we can get, and the bigger we can get to help more people. So I want you guys to have a great day and thanks for listening.